Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cacophony, the new name for the Crow's Nest podcast. And I believe this time we'll have this on YouTube, so a thank you to Demon Wolf for that. Excuse me. And a big thank you to Tiger for doing all of the art. So,
Yahoo!
what was that? Eh. Oh, right. Excuse me. So, I'm Jelo, and here today we also have CAD.
Or are we? Is this the intro? Okay.
Yes, this is the intro.
Well, I
We're
didn't know
gonna
if you
build
were
off this
gonna. I
shit.
didn't know if you were
I'm
gonna
not
go,
starting over
or
again.
if I
No,
didn't
we
know.
do it live. We die like men.
I didn't know if you were gonna go, or if I was gonna go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm C.A. Daniels. People call me a bunch of different things, but mostly CAD.
Mhm. All right. We also got Donut.
Hello, I'm a donut.
Awesome. And finally, Glucose.
Hello.
All right. And on this episode, we'll talk about Volume 7 in Ruby, kind of some predictions, and all that kind of good stuff. So, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I am really excited about this.
Oh yeah, definitely. Huh?
I'm
Wait, what?
cautiously optimistic.
Wait, where did Cad go?
Huh?
Um,
Where did Cad go? I don't see him on the.
I think it was the train. Oh, he crashed. Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh.
Really?
F in chat, brothers.
ooh.
Really? Like a minute in, this happens? Okay.
There he is.
Oh,
There he
it's
is.
okay. It's okay. Well,
We keep rolling. We die like men.
No, my
Right.
recording.
Okay. That'll never happen again.
My
Yep.
recording quit and took the mic with it.
all right.
Oh my god, that was great.
Well,
Okay. Sorry. Where were you, Jello?
well,
Where were
I was talking about yeah, just how excited we are about Volume 7 because it's gonna be great, right?
Yeah.
I
I'm
hope
I'm
so,
excited.
but I think it'll at least be good.
Yeah. Well, I think so too. I'm very excited. I'm very excited this time around. The most excited definitely the most excited I've been since before Volume 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
I agree with
absolutely
that.
more optimistic than I've ever been
Yeah,
about the series thus far.
exactly.
It's been improving steadily ever since Volume 4, and I don't
Right.
see that trend stopping. So
Yeah, with the performance.
Apologize, Demon. My recording is starting here.
All right.
All right.
Well, that's why we got OBS.
Indeed.
So, right. So, but with the performance of Volume 6, I really think a lot of the growing pains of Volume 4 and 5 have been handled, as well as the steps that they're going to help with the production that we've seen after all the Glassdoor stuff.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Definitely seems like that's well. Well, did it have did it have an impact on it like when the production started? Because it already like started before that whole thing broke out, right? But
This is
I
true,
imagine
but
they still have they still have a
that
lot of
just brought it
time.
all to light.
So yeah.
The thing is, by all appearances that we're aware of, they already had some fixes in place or that were planned to be in place before Rampant even made that discovery.
Correct.
Yeah, there are things that imply that, so that could,
Rampant just kind of accelerated the process.
yeah.
Right. So kind of bring it back. So Volume 7, we're going to Atlas. A lot of things that I've seen discussed is there's a lot going on here. So some people they've said maybe they'll snap out in one volume, some two, some have gone so far as to say three.
I don't think it'll be 3. I think it'll be 2 at most. Probably 2.
I don't think it'll even be 2.
You think it'll all be one volume, like Volume 5?
I mean, I don't know for sure because again, the whole Mistral thing took about 2 volumes because it started in Volume 4 and
Right.
then finished up in Volume 5. So there's precedent for it being like 2, but again, it's the cautious optimism. It's kind of because I did get a little bit burnt by Volume 4 because that was when I first picked up on the series in Volume 3 for reference. So
Right.
I've got high hopes, and I hope they make it 2 volumes. That would be perfect. 2 volumes would definitely be enough.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, two. I'm gonna go with 2 for now. There was a point where I was thinking maybe they could like do the whole thing in 1 volume, but I don't think that's the case anymore.
They wouldn't be able to
They-
do it
I feel like they'd have
justice.
to, yeah,
Right.
they either they'd have to rush it or really crunch to make like giant episodes, which obviously they're not going to do now, especially not now.
No.
Yeah, I gotta agree with the 2 volumes for the same reason, and the only way that I can see putting in a third volume is if you aren't in Atlas proper, but exploring the lands of Solitas and the area around that. But
Well, to be fair, they are. Are we allowed to talk about the panel?
which
The
Which one?
panel where they had the preview.
Um,
I
I'm not sure. Like, can you? I mean, I
According
feel like
to
talking
a
about it should be okay, right?
Yeah,
according to very prominent text posts describing the panel,
Mhm.
I mean, we're not showing the footage, so it should be
Well-
fine, right?
yeah. Well, and
The
that's my
RT
question.
gods would like to know your location.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah.
people have done dumber things.
I mean, it's not like I watched it, so
I believe we're okay.
yeah.
Well, what
Okay.
we
At this
know
point,
is
it's
that
kind of
during
just
that
hearsay. So
during that, I'm pretty sure it'll be an episode 1 clip. Historically, they've been episode 1 clips.
Hmm.
During that episode 1 clip, they were in Mantle, the place below where Atlas is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's entirely possible they could spend quite some time getting into Atlas proper for one reason or another, which I'm pretty sure we're going to get into with the rest of our discussion.
Yeah.
right.
Well,
going
maybe
back-
I'm not. I don't know if I should bring this up later, but I was thinking they would like maybe at some point they would split up, and some of them would be in like Mantle, and others would be in like Atlas proper.
Oh Lord, here we go again.
Yeah, that's. I gotta be a little worried about that idea.
Rashomon! Oh goodness.
Rule
So,
1: don't split the party.
Right. So, but that idea of being difficult to get into Atlas, I kind of have to wonder about CID because they were welcoming that airship into Atlas. You'd think that they would.
I mean, they don't know what's in it yet.
All right. So, I guess that would be a good little segue to reach into Ironwood and the military itself.
Okay.
So
Well, first of all,
kinda-
it's definitely going to be a shit show. That's for sure. Not
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, Ironwood seems to be very believing his way is
Yeah.
the best way here.
Honestly, I disagree that
Oh,
it's
okay.
going to be a big problem getting into Atlas.
Yeah, I gotta agree
I
with
think
that.
I think the problem will show up once they meet Ironwood and explain what's going on.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, do you
Right.
think that do you think he'll still be like courteous and welcoming to them, but like just like so like he's being his rigid self and won't accept like what they're telling him, or do you think he'll have gotten to the point where he's like like more hostile to them because he's become so paranoid? Because that seems to be like
Absolutely. I
I-
think that's
that
what
seems to be the route he was going when we last saw him in Volume
I
4.
I agree. And part of that why I think that is because Ozpin isn't home at the moment. So and I feel like he might be the only one to really be able to get in to Ironwood and make him trust him because you got Crow and a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And Crow is not Ironwood's favorite person.
I
Well, you got-
can't
well, he-
imagine.
well,
To
you
be
Ozpin-
fair, he hasn't really had any negative interactions with the Ruby cast. I mean, he's the one who gave
Yeah.
Yang the arm. And he's
That's-
also those interactions with Weiss and I believe Volume 4. I haven't watched it in a while, so I'm kind of rusty.
That's true. Well, like I said, like he's courteous, but he's very rigid in his own beliefs.
Like once they start telling him all this stuff that's going on, especially because the only proof that because Ospen's still, as far as we know, he's still gonna be kind of inside Oscar's brain, even though he did come out for a little while to help out.
Yeah.
I feel like he's gonna stay inside Oscar's head and not really want to come out. So it's gonna basically be, hey, this little farm boy is Ospen, and Ironwood is very understandably gonna think that's a load of bull.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to see what would happen if, and I don't think this is going to be what's going to happen because it would take way too much time. But I think it would be interesting to see if the rest of the cast tried to start talking to Ironwood about what was going on, and then Ozpin interrupted to keep them from revealing too much, because we don't know how much Ironwood knows. He might not know that this is a
probably
hopeless
nothing.
situation.
Crow barely knew any of like the
Right.
real story.
I'm pretty sure that would not go over well
That is
with
a very good point.
the team too. So that would be another good source of conflict, because nobody liked when they found out that Ospen was hiding crap from them in the first place.
No.
Right. But
And you kind of have to wonder like how much Ironwood actually does trust Ospen, considering that he kept Penny a secret, and Ospen wasn't very happy about that.
Yeah,
So
he kept Penny a secret, and he took over security for the Vital Festival because
right.
I'm the only one who can do it right. That seems to be his. That seems to be his whole mentality thus far. Is the old chestnut? If you're gonna do something right, you have to do it yourself.
yeah.
I got all kinds of theories about why Penny exists and why she was kept secret, and none of them are favorable for Ironwood being friendly with Ospen.
Oh, Jimmy.
So yeah.
So where are we gonna discuss Penny? Because that's not on the. I don't see that on the list.
But
I feel like it should be very important.
I could go on.
Yeah. So thoughts, Penny? Do you think she's coming back? Do you
Are
think
we doing
she's gonna
this?
get an origin, etc.?
Well,
I think we might get a short, maybe, but I don't think she's coming back.
We're not getting a short. They already said that.
Oh, okay. My bad. Then I forgot that was a
I
thing.
we're definitely gonna get like an origin story of some
all pants
sort,
from here on out. No shorts.
I don't know if she's actually gonna come back.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Because it'll start all that up again, and I'm not looking forward to that. Penny comes back.
There are
every Pyrrha stand in existence. Take a deep breath.
There are two pieces of technology involved here. There are two pieces of technology involved here that are very important, which are the soul dubbing machine in the vault, and then Penny being an artificial person, essentially.
Those have to be connected.
My theory, and I don't know if we're ever going to find this out. I don't know if this is even correct, but the indications to me are that Penny was meant to be the second part of that soul dubbing machine, whereby they could take the maidens and funnel them into a controllable body.
Right.
Right.
It was either that or make one for Ozpin so he doesn't have to keep absorbing poor farm boys.
Well, that is
That
interesting.
would be a really
very
interesting way
interesting.
to go with it.
That would make sense. Like,
Because I do think that the series is going to end with Oscar and Ozpin as separate entities, if Ozpin still exists at all.
Yeah.
Or Oscar exists at all.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get rid of Oscar. I think he's in it for the long haul.
I didn't actually consider the because I heard the thing before about how Penny was like some like prototype for the maiden transfer, but I never thought about like her being a prototype for like potentially like forcefully transferring Ozpin's soul. I think that's an interesting idea. I don't know.
Forcefully.
There might be some potential. There might be some
interesting.
potential there.
See, the problem I see with that is that they very specifically made Penny a young woman.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But this is arguably a prototype. She's just a body, and I'm going to say that her original soul in this case would have been a young woman. You're not going to make an old person body for a young woman.
I've always loved the idea that Penny was powered by a forsaken child.
Doesn't everyone?
Yep.
well, even if Penny came back, like it's mentioned that she was because she has an aura, and like auras are unique, presumably. So like
Right.
it wouldn't be this. It wouldn't even be the same character. You
If
know?
she does come back, I absolutely don't think it'll be the same Penny
No,
that we
definitely
know.
not.
Right.
S-
That-
Okay. So, anyone else have more juicy Penny theories?
Um, can't say that I do, other than if she does come back, she's the only character that I would think that would happen for. And again, it would be not quite Penny.
Right.
It would be really funny if she were a sleeper.
Yeah.
See, what I know this probably isn't going to happen because Ruby is a semi-optimistic show in terms of tone. Like it has its dark moments, but it generally does have a sort of hopeful undertone to it.
Yeah.
The idea that I really liked, and I saw this on a fan theory for another server, was that Penny is going to be perfected in Atlas, as in like she doesn't have the quirky personality. She's more of an automaton than a person.
This is some Borg stuff.
I like that. I do like that.
All right. That's,
Which I mean,
that's
it's been
nice.
done to death.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can see Rooster Teeth going that way, and I wouldn't at all be disappointed
Right.
because we need to hurt Ruby, honestly.
There are some. Okay, I disagree. There are some parallels you can draw with Genlock with Ruby's situation that I think are so.
Mm.
I haven't watched a single episode of Genlock, so I'm
Alright,
not going to follow
so-
any of this.
Right,
Maybe
so
a
let's,
whole other podcast.
That is a little wandering. So,
Yeah.
so is there anything else on Penny here?
What about like her creator? Like he's definitely gonna show up, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we saw that one preview of him for like a second in Volume 3, and nothing at all since then.
90% sure he's going to show up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think we have much to really talk
Yeah.
about him. He exists.
Right.
He is a dude.
So,
Allegedly.
with that, let's go from the Atlas military to the other big mover and shaker within the northern continent and the rest of the world, the SDC.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is gonna be
baby.
fun.
I would just like to open with, although I have a
Yeah,
great deal of
capitalism.
fun. I have a great deal of fun writing Whitley as, at best, a brutally pragmatic person. In the show, all we know about him is that he's just as messed up as the other two Schnee children.
Mm.
Mhm.
They definitely need to do some more Whitley inspiration.
I
I
wonder.
feel like, though, the SDC isn't going to be as big in the Atlas plot as we seem to think it's going to be.
Right, because well, that's what I was about to say. I was like, how much like is the SDC going to be like immediately a part of the
Because
plot?
we've got a huge ensemble to
Yeah.
deal with here.
I feel like
Right.
the main
that's
focus
what
is going to be on Ironwood first because he's like the top priority. Like they're going to they're
Well.
going to Atlas to find him, and the SDC stuff is probably going to be more on the side at first, just like probably just going to focus on Weiss, and then I guess eventually it's going to somehow be integrated into the main plot when the bad guys arrive. But we'll talk about that when we get there.
The only way I feel like the way they're gonna introduce him is I feel like we're gonna get like a kind of internal look at the Atlas Council that Ironwood holds
That's
2
good.
seats on with his massive iron glutes. I feel like that's how they're gonna introduce Jock to this particular plot line.
At a council meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I imagine that Ironwood, after being thoroughly convinced, will bring
Ooh.
the crew before the council to make their case in some fashion or other, and that is when Weiss will have her first confrontation with Jacques.
Oh, so you think he will be like thoroughly convinced? Like it won't be like a. Like
Oh,
a
absolutely not. I
like-
think it'll
I
take
mean, he's
a
gonna
lot. and
have
I-
to be
I
convinced
don't think
eventually for
he'll
the plot
be.
to move.
Right.
Well, let me put my theory in there on this whole idea that we're working on. So Ironwood holds 2 seats, correct?
Yeah.
And let's say Jacques holds 1, and let's say there's 5 seats. So
Okay.
so Jacques and the other 2 are against whatever Ironwood needs to do whatever. And because I like Whitley, the whole plot line here is to replace Jacques with Whitley as the head SDC. Because
So how do you think
That's
that's
the
so
thing.
like how do you think that's gonna happen? Because I
Question.
had a similar thought before.
Do we actually know that Jacques is on the council? I don't
That
know if
does
that
work off of
specifically
that
was
assumption.
mentioned.
I think it was mentioned in Volume 4, but I may be wrong.
Let me dig up the transcript.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Well, the
Don't
other
pause on my account. This will take
the
me some
other
time.
possibility there is Jacques has the other council members in his pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he's not on the council, he's got a pocket councilman.
Oh, definitely,
Guaranteed.
definitely.
Right. So there's that.
Doesn't
yeah.
have Ironwood in his pocket though.
Ironwood
No.
doesn't fit in any of your pockets. His iron
Right.
cheeks are too dummy thick for your pockets.
So dummy thick he needs 2 seats just to contain them.
Iron Daddy fight scene when, honestly.
We already got
I
one.
Need, I need one of those. Just let Iron.
It's a revolver with a slide. It's literally the most redundant weapon in existence.
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
it
sorry,
makes
I
it
derailed
makes it makes total sense. You just have to ignore everything you thought you knew about guns, which is the premise of Ruby anyway.
Well, yeah.
True.
Imagine firing the bullet casing and all from a sniper. We are getting way off topic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we
That-
are. Sorry.
That
I
is
should...
70% more bullet.
Yeah.
Right. So, right, the SDC. So, how do, barring my theory, how do we think that the whole thing with Weiss and Jacques and Whitley, maybe even Winter, is just gonna throw down?
Okay, so having read through the relevant scene, there is no direct mention that Jacques is on the council.
Right.
All right.
It can be assumed, however, that he has some significant pull on it, or he might even be on it, but it's not directly mentioned that he is or is not.
Yeah, it's not confirmed or denied.
Right. That's fine. So
I mean, it would make sense for him to be on the council if he is, because he's the. They paint him as being one of the most influential people in the region.
Right.
You familiar with the concept of bribery?
That too.
Somewhat. How do
I'm
you
sorry.
think I became a mod?
Nations.
I
Right,
personally don't think though that the SDC will be that big of a force in the story proper.
I
Like
really
out of all
got...
the out of all the antagonists in this volume, I feel like the SDC is going to be the smallest one.
I mean, they're definitely a side threat because they're just a company. They're just a company.
It's
but-
just something that
Yeah.
Weiss, I think, is going to have to deal with on her own.
But
Well, I
at
feel
the
like
same
it's not
time-
going to just stay a personal thing for Weiss, because I mean, now they're starting to take center stage. They're not just like one of many subplots like they were back in Volume 4. I do think the villains are gonna have some sort of stake in that eventually.
Yeah, and even then, you kind of have to remember that a main story doesn't stand that well on its own. It needs supporting subplots with it. So
Well, and also this is basically the extent of Weiss's arc, everything involving her family.
right,
If they
Mhm.
didn't address that in some way, it would be
very upsetting.
Yeah,
not even
yeah.
that. It would just be kind of.
Stupid.
Yeah.
yeah. We kind of need Weiss to shine
I
again.
really don't want to say this phrase, but it would be a gigantic missed opportunity.
Oh yeah, well yeah, it would be.
Right.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah. It had such potential, you know?
Ah, you said it.
Don't say that word.
They would like to know your location. Just they. I'm not gonna dare say it on the podcast.
I shouldn't tempt fate like that. Shouldn't tempt fate like that, but I just.
Right.
You
So-
don't know. They might be listening.
Well, we're still on the topic of the SDC with the Schnee family. I wonder if like now finally we'll get some sort of like follow up to like Whitley apparently not his dislike of Huntsman, which I thought was a weird thing to like just bring up in Volume 4 and not really do anything with it. So I wonder
Well, to be
if
fair, a lot of things in Volume 4 are really weird.
yeah.
Okay, see,
Okay,
listen.
well,
You're about to catch some hands here.
Okay, I love hands.
okay.
Not the fun kind, unless you're.
Oh,
in it.
I love hands. Punch me, daddy. I mean, what? I'm
I
sorry.
knew it. I knew the moment I
I
said
don't know.
it.
Maybe in the other channel, not here.
Maybe the other channel. We're going on the R18 plus podcast. Okay, sorry.
You know we are, boys.
Okay, but yeah, SDC.
Right.
So anyway, do you
I don't
think
even.
there's gonna be any like follow up on like Whitley not liking Huntsman? Because I mean, we got a whole bunch of Huntsman like riding up to Alice right now.
I feel like it is going to get touched on a little bit more because the way that the interaction between Weiss and Whitley was played, especially like the end of it when she leaves Atlas,
Right.
it seems like he's trying to position himself to where he's Jock's heir. And part of that may be like resentment to both of his sisters because both of them are huntresses.
Right.
Right.
Because in the same conversation, Weiss is also like, "Is this because you're jealous?" And like that could very very well be it.
Yeah, and
Like-
maybe that Whitley never activated his like
Like
his aura
his
and stuff.
aura, yeah. He feels like physically inadequate.
I'm gonna offer a little bit of input as the youngest of an extensive family.
Uh-huh.
You don't ever want to be like your older siblings. You want to learn from their mistakes, and you want to do things differently than the way they did, because what they did, in a lot of ways, didn't work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if your perception has been colored by one parent or another. So I think it's not so much that he doesn't like his sisters or their successes. I think he wants to be different. I think he wants to be out from under the shadow of these very powerful women.
Right. And the best way that he can see to do that is to take the SDC. Because
Makes
at
sense.
this point he won't, without a lot of effort, and even though he doesn't even know if he would stack up, he can't be a fighter like them.
Right. So do you think like he's doing this to like stand out on his own and not just because he's like a slave to Daddy Jacques?
I think he's using Jacques.
I'd like
okay.
that possibility.
This is my cautious optimism coming in. I don't think RT would run with that, but I would like them to. I would be pleasantly surprised if they did. But honestly, I'm expecting them to just be, oh, he just wants Daddy's approval.
Yeah. I just feel that Jacques Light is so boring, though.
Yeah, honestly. I feel like he's, again, like I said, he's going to be by far the most minor antagonist because jumping a little bit ahead for just a second here, you got Cinder, doing her thing. You've got Watson Tyrion doing their thing. You got Ironwood and his paranoia. You've got all these different players and pieces moving.
Right.
And Jock is very static. He's only really established as being an aggressive threat to one of the characters in our cast, and we have a big ensemble now. Like he's never really confronted any of the other members of the cast. It's just been Weiss. And like I said, I feel like that makes him kind of he's going to be like a side plot that supports the main story.
All right. Well, here's an idea and something of a topic shift. What about the Faunus? You got Blake.
Right.
I don't think they're going to go anywhere at the Faunus plot anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
So you think the White Fang are just done completely?
This is really cynical of me to say that, but yeah, they've, especially like with the Adam fight, because after Haven, like we didn't really see that much because the Haven was like painted the way I saw it. It's like this big clash of ideals between Blake's, vision. Well, not really her vision because we don't know what her vision is exactly, but it's her and her resolve versus Adam's vision for, the Faunus being superior to humans. And so, when he gets beat down, he's basically cast out, exiled. He just goes and wanders off on his own, comes back in Volume 6 and gets jabeated. So...
Right, so you feel that that means that Blake won, Adam lost, the Faunus are on the right path again.
Yeah, and I think there will be some, it won't be a plot, but I feel like there will be some moments where, Weiss, maybe to show more of her development that they, hinted at in Volume 2 already, and, it's pretty much set in stone now, but, they haven't really addressed it lately.
Well,
maybe she stands up for a Faunus worker or something like that.
Right, well...
Or, more people pull a Cordovan and tell Blake she's a questionable moral character or something.
Right. And that's where I think that you'll get the fuel to get the plot line to keep going, because, well, you may have handled the White Fang and the Faunus side of things, you haven't handled the human and SDC side of things.
Right. See, that is
So do you think the SDC are going to tie into the Faunus subplot?
Could be.
I can't see how they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very... It could definitely work, especially because, the reveal of Adam with the SDC brand on his eye. It's a natural transition.
Yeah, and also, well, it wasn't mentioned in the show, but the game Amity Arena did confirm that he was a worker in their minds. So that'll come up at some point. They could just mention it somehow in some context.
So maybe say Blake does a little bit of emotional maturity and realizes that Adam wasn't the cause of the problem. He was a product of the problem. He wasn't not problematic by any means. But he was a symptom of a larger problem.
Well, I don't think they're just gonna. I think it would be very weird. The Faunus plot was completely finished right as they got to the what is supposedly the most racist place on the planet. But at the same time, I don't think the White Fang as an organization is really going to be important anymore, since
the White Fang,
all the White Fang characters have been resolved by this point. I feel so.
I don't see that's the thing is I don't think this is going to have anything to do with the White Fang, or if it does, it'll be Gira's new movement. I think what they have an opportunity to do here, and I hope they capitalize on it, is to show the sort of the background radiation of the Faunus racism, to show it present in a society which, granted, we don't have any direct information that Atlas is the worst place for Faunus, but we have plenty of soft information that it's the worst place for Faunus.
There's implications galore.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that
Atlas
they'll probably explore that as kind of background information or background details, kind of like we saw very briefly in Haven.
Right. Yeah. Atlas definitely has the most characterization of all of the kingdoms, except for perhaps Vacuo with the new book coming out. And I definitely love to explore all that kind of stuff, especially with I expect a lot of racism there.
I hope they do, because it would be really disappointing if they just dropped the plot.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it would be very weird if they did. I mean,
it would be noticeable. People would notice immediately.
I mean, this is literally the prime opportunity.
And arguably the last one.
And the last, yeah.
So
yeah.
Because
they really didn't double down on it very hard early in the series. They rarely made any mention of it that I can remember.
They couldn't, to be fair. They did not have the time.
This is true.
Well,
that's a fair thing to say, especially in Volume 1 and 2, where they're on a strict time schedule.
Right, but at the same time, that is still an issue. And while they won't be able to ever fix the issues of the past, they can make it better in the present.
Right.
Hopefully, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I think that they have a great opportunity, like I said, to show a little more world building, a little more soft world building. Not so much in your face, but little things that might be in the background or that Blake might pick up on.
Yeah.
But I do think
that's gonna happen in some capacity.
I think the main plot's going to be crowded enough as it is. I don't think like a main plot of the Faunus plate, at least not in the first outing to Atlas.
No, it's definitely not going to start out as the main focus.
If it
Right.
gets 2 volumes or even 3 volumes, then I think we'll see more of it, but not in the first part of it.
All right. Yeah, that's fair.
Definitely.
But first priority is Ironwood. That's the whole reason they're there.
That's going to be like the first order of business, I feel.
Everybody's first
Or at
priority
least
is
the first
Iron
thing
Daddy.
that-
You can't have it be.
Right. At least that's the first thing that they try to do before something derails the plot. Well, not derails the plot, but derails their intention.
Derails that particular plot line.
Right.
Something's gonna be a wrench in the works.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think
but
that's going to go off without a hitch.
Oh no.
Definitely not.
I think everything's going to be perfectly fine.
Nothing bad
ever happened.
Gotta love that.
Pierre comes back, guys.
It's Pyrrha in Penny's body.
Oh.
Don't even know.
No. Oh no.
Don't do both of my babies this disservice.
Or Penny in Pyrrha's body.
Nani?
All right. So I think that's most of that. So how about some specific characters? We talked about
Mhm.
Weiss. How about maybe Ruby? She had a pretty good showing in Volume 6, really being assertive and all that.
Yeah.
So you think that's gonna they figure
Yeah,
out what to
definitely.
do
I
with
think
her
it's gonna
now?
continue. I think it's gonna continue. I think it's gonna be. I think this is gonna. But it's gonna definitely gonna focus Weiss this whole arc. But I think Ruby is also still gonna continue her focus. It's mainly gonna be Ruby and Weiss, like this time.
If anything, I feel like the only character that isn't going to get a lot of focus out of the main four is Yang.
Yeah.
I feel like Yang's going to kind of... She's not going to be completely in the background this volume, but she has, like...
Right.
You know, Blake still has the racism subplot if it happens. You know, Weiss has the big subplot with her dad and the SDC, and Ruby, you know, she's trying to lead the team through all this and has basically taken command because, you know, earlier in volume 4 and 5 it was kind of implied that, you know, Crow was guiding them along even though they were doing most of the hard work.
Right.
But now it's like it's been made clear that Ruby is now wearing the commandy pants in this little organization. So
Well, they're leggings, to be fair.
yeah. And
Yeah.
Yang is kind of gonna just... She's not gonna be completely in the background. I think she'll probably, if Blake does a lot with the racism subplot, she'll probably be involved with it.
It's gonna be the emotional support.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Right,
saying.
so,
I
If
think Yang's going to
Leo
be
shows
the.
up in this volume, Yang is definitely going to be involved in that.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Good.
Rematch. Rematch.
I
So
think
I guess
Yang's
while
going to be
we're at-
the. Oh, sorry.
Well, oh no, go ahead. I was about to.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I think Yang's going to be the team's rock in this season, because like you said, there's
Right.
a lot going on with Weiss. I think Ruby's going to be Weiss's support character for that. Blake has her thing going on if they choose to go after the racism angle, which I imagine they will at least a little bit. And I think Yang's going to be the one that, in this volume, kind of like how Weiss was in volume 5. I think Yang's going to be the one that glues them all together as they're going through these things.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
And I kind of like that dynamic, especially because, you know, Yang has, like, she's kind of grown out of that impulsiveness that she showed in the first 3 volumes.
Right, but she's always been like the team mom, and I think we're gonna
Yeah,
see.
she's
that
been
again.
the big sister to Ruby, and that's slowly extended to the other members of the team.
All right.
So like, it'll be a great time to showcase that development.
Right, and while we're on the topic of Yang, do you think that they're ever going to do anything again with the fact that like a lot of people still think that she like broke Mercury's leg, or do you think that that's just a dropped plot line at this
I
point?
think it's dropped.
Yeah.
Like,
It'd be cool. but
nobody's
I don't
brought
think
it up yet. Like, someone may make a throwaway line or something like that.
Yeah,
But even Ironwood, I don't think believed 100% that she did it out of malice.
Also, there are wanted posters for Mercury and
Right.
Emerald.
That probably helps too.
That does help.
You broke a criminal's leg. I think they'd be buying you drinks, not asking you questions.
All right. I do kind of hesitate on this one, but
Uh-huh.
we are talking Team Ruby and Yang
Okay.
in Volume 7,
Uh-huh.
Bumblebee.
Yeah, we're gonna
Thoughts?
get more of it.
I think we saw very clearly it's in the water at the moment. I'm not sure you can recover. Like, that's just a lot of damage to an engine.
I don't think that RT, and this is again my hopeful optimism. I think that RT, a lot of people are worried that I've seen, like, and a lot of people's problem with Bumblebees, they feel like, whether it is or not, and I don't think it is that it's too rushed.
Mhm.
And I feel like they're going to let it, if they do pull the trigger on it, because, believe it or not, I could see RT just making it a platonic thing. Now, people would feel debated, but, you know.
I mean, I feel like at this point they would have the right to feel debated if that happens.
Yeah,
Like at
yeah,
this point.
absolutely. But
My
the
prediction.
thing is, they can afford to take it slow right now.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
exactly. I
Like,
think
they don't have to start, macking as soon as the volume starts.
I think it
I
is.
feel like if it's a 2-volume structure, we won't get any Bumblebee payoff until like the
Right.
end of the second volume.
All right. Yeah, just enough to show them that they're being serious about it.
It's developing naturally. It's not rushed.
Mhm.
I mean, RT kind of like they really like doing this. They really like doing like the not really confirming anything yet sort of thing. I mean, they did that with Ren and Nora, you know,
Well,
and
Well,
yeah,
those two
but
are
with this
banging.
one,
Those
it's a
two are so
little.
banging.
okay.
All right. So
In the words of the great Nicolas Cage, not the bees.
No, like you said, I think that's end of volume 8, sometime in volume 9 at the
Yeah.
earliest.
all right.
They got to figure themselves out. They got a lot going on. They got to figure themselves out after killing a person. That's a big deal.
Especially
Yeah.
Blake, because Yang, she has her trauma regarding Adam. Like, I'm not discounting that, but she had much less of a personal connection to him up
Right.
until that point. Like,
Right.
This is true.
her whole deal with him is, hey, she beat up my best friend and cut off my arm. Like,
Right.
he's a dick.
Well,
But Blake
obviously
has
he won.
suffered. Blake has like watched this guy go from a apparently somewhat respectable individual to an abusive tyrant,
Right.
Mm.
and like watch this devolution, been stalked all the way across a kingdom.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
she's got a lot more to emotionally unpack.
Yeah,
I feel like if you rushed into a relationship right away, like
Yeah.
it would kind of discount that emotional reckoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be their best option to do with Bumblebee at the moment. Just work through the death of Adam.
Or they could go
Mhm.
straight into it and have it fail spectacularly because neither of them had time to really process.
Ooh, that would be.
I don't think RT is willing to
Yeah.
go that
Yeah.
far. But
I
if
don't think they. I don't think they. I don't. That doesn't really. I mean, they might do that, but I don't really
if
think.
they did, I would applaud their brass testicles.
Yeah. It doesn't really
It's
seem like
so
an RT
it's real
thing.
though. I mean, that happens in real life
It
all
does.
the time.
Absolutely.
I mean, it does, but I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know.
I don't want that to happen.
I
I
don't
don't
think
want
they're
them to
gonna
do
do it.
that.
I'm just gonna say it. I don't think they're doing that.
No,
No,
think
they're
they would.
definitely not doing
no.
that.
I don't think
But
they
it would
would.
be
That's
it would be freaking cool.
Yeah,
it'd be
it would be
fantastic.
very. It would be very
Let's-
interesting if it was
let's
done
be
and
honest.
done well. But it's not this show.
Yeah, you never see ships get set up, have all this development, exist, and then fall apart for completely natural reasons.
I would love
You
to
never
see
see
a
that.
story like that, but I don't think that's
I
gonna
don't
be here.
think they're going to do that. I think they don't.
Oh, do you know what the bee shippers would do? That there would be riots in the streets.
I'm
Wow.
one. I would clap
Somehow I
because
didn't
that's
even think of
amazing
that,
writing.
but you're right. It would be Armageddon.
Right.
Bring it.
I, for one, welcome the bee apocalypse. Just let me finish 3 houses first, and then I'm ready. Okay.
Oh,
Alright,
you're one of those.
Alright. Well, we've covered Ruby pretty well. We want to do Juniper or the
They're
remnants
definitely
of
going to
such?
take a back seat.
Yeah.
They always take a back seat.
But, like, I'm talking big here.
Yeah.
They are
The
side
only thing that I
characters.
want to see in this volume or if this is a 2-volume arc in the next 2 volumes, what was Tyrion so interested in?
Yeah, that's like the only thing that I can think of.
I'm still not the biggest Jon fan in the world, but you can't just throw that big zinger at us in the middle of a volume and expect me to let it go.
I think
Yeah.
we're never getting that answer.
Oh, you think it was just you think Tyrion was just fooling around?
I think either
Really?
he was messing with them,
He is
or
Tyrion.
it just had some little thing to do with something Cinder mentioned once.
That's bait.
All right.
Well,
I
I mean,
like
what I like about
that-
Tyrion is that there's like more depth to what he says than just being like the funny crazy guy. So I hope there's something more to what he was saying than just messing with Jon.
Yeah, but they're definitely not going to have a very prominent role.
All right. Well, I can think of two things. One is John still kind of working through, well, maybe not quite, but still a little working through his sense, excuse me, his sense of self-worth,
Yeah.
because again, he's willing to die for his friends. His semblance is literally giving his only decent aspect of his fighting to someone else, all
Hmm.
that stuff. And the other thing that I could possibly think of is Nora's family, if maybe they're Elysian and they find them. But
Was it ever said like did they
no,
say like where they're from?
no, it's just Valkyrie is Norse and Atlas has snow.
I doubt that Nora's family is going to come up in any fashion.
Right, it's just
I-
a little
I
plot.
think they're just going to run with the
That would-
implication that something happened to them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
Also,
don't-
that would be another subplot, and that's we don't want
We don't
enough.
want too many.
I don't know that it matters to Nora who her family was.
I
I
don't
don't-
think it. Yeah,
I don't
that
think so.
it contributes very little to Nora now.
Obviously,
Like,
it
if
matters
this
a lot
happened
to-
during Volume 4, it would be a little bit too much, because Ren had his own subplot going on then. But
all right.
like, it would have been understandable then. Like, this late in the game, it does nothing for Nora's character or her.
Yeah,
arc or lack thereof.
I don't think Ren and Nora are gonna do anything this.
Huh.
They're
Unless
going to be backup for
Yeah.
Ruby.
Right. All right. Well, it was just an idea because I love my two kids.
Who doesn't?
Mhm.
Find me a
I'll be
person
honest.
who says they hate Ren and Nora, and I will
First,
find you a person with no taste.
First 2 volumes, I did not care for them.
Okay.
Banned.
You have no power here.
Be gone.
Alright.
Thought.
Okay.
But they grew on me.
Of
Alright.
course they did.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
My beautiful babies.
Well, the real question is, are they just gonna be like tagging along with everyone else like they've been for like the last couple of volumes, or are they just gonna, or do you think they're just gonna drop them off at like the
I-
whatever this kingdom's version of the house is, and they'll stay there for most of the volume doing
I
nothing?
feel like if John has a subplot, they'll be tagging along with him
Yeah,
almost exclusively.
probably.
I mean,
Probably.
And if he doesn't, they'll probably all find the equivalent of the house and just stick around there.
they're side characters. They come up when they're needed.
Yeah. I do think that they'll tag along though. I don't think that at this point in the game there is no way that they'll be dropped. They're just kind of too tied into the show.
Yeah.
People would be like, what happened to Ren, Nora, and John?
Yeah.
I think if they wanted to get them involved, they could in a number of ways. They could play support to,
Right.
if they decided again to go with the Faunus plight, they could play support to Yang and Blake there.
I guess. I mean, they
That
don't really have any stake in it, but I guess
No.
they could fight some
They
people.
they could certainly get involved in that kind of thing. You don't.
Yeah, I mean their stake is that
be-
their friends are involved.
Right.
Yeah, they could get involved in any of the plot lines by that logic, but I don't think they will.
Hmm.
And if they
Hmm.
do and it's handled well, I'll be very surprised pleasantly, though.
All right.
Hmm.
Right. We're getting close to an hour, so maybe speed it up a little bit with
Gotcha.
let's do Crow, Maria, both at once.
Crow's gonna die. This volume, he's
Oh,
dead. I'm calling it.
People
Oh,
have been
no.
saying that since Volume 4.
No, trust me. I put money on it this time, and whenever there's money on the line, I always lose money.
Wait,
Alright then.
Okay.
No, see, here's what I think is gonna happen, and this is all just a theory, a game theory, but hear me out.
Okay.
So, one thing that I noticed in Volume 6 is like Crow had kind of a come to Jesus moment. Like, not an entire one, but like kind of a like I think his character got a slap on the face that I feel like the plot is going to explore because there's the whole Brunswick Farms thing where he was so drunk and useless and then he like sees the danger that Ruby was in and that he was doing nothing to prevent it.
Right.
And like you can see in the scene on the trailer that affected him.
Right.
And there's the scene where she stands up to him and says, "Look, we're going to do this with or without you." And that also like obviously affected him. And I feel like that's going to carry over to an extent in this next volume. Like I don't think it's going to be a central plot line or anything. I think it may not even be a plot line at all. It's just something that comes up in dialogue.
Right.
But I feel like Crow is going to he's going to slide into more of a supportive role and like not just a guide role, but actually like trying to help out.
Right. I think he'll be the mentor that more or less hangs back and enables them to do what they need to do instead of earlier where he had been the mentor that tells them what to do.
Yeah.
She's
By
not really
the way,
ordering them around as much anymore.
I love the way that they did that, by the way.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he will be instrumental in getting Ironwood to believe them.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah. He's definitely going to be very important early on when they're dealing with that sort of thing.
But I think the extent of what he'll do will essentially be to get Ironwood to listen to them and then back off while they do their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
both
since,
of them were members of Osmond's Inner Circle.
Speaking from a great deal of experience on this, does Aura protect against withdrawal symptoms?
Unknown.
Hmm.
Alright, so
Food
that
for
seems
thought.
like a pretty good thing for Crow. Quick thoughts on Maria?
She's
I don't.
useless.
Yeah, I don't know what she's gonna do unless like, well,
That's pretty
unless
fair.
like unless she has unless she has some. Well, she does have a connection to Atlas because that's where she goes to like fix her goggles. But like, I don't really see what any plot line for her.
I feel like she's gonna kind of remain as like Ruby's specific mentor.
Alright. I'd be
With
happy.
the Silver Eyes and stuff like that. I feel like that's still gonna be going on, like where she's trying to guide Ruby along in her personal journey as a silver-eyed warrior.
Alright.
But I don't think it'll be that important.
Right. I don't think
But she is kind of the wild card in all this. Like she could do pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'd be pretty much just happy with anything she does. I mean, I
Yeah,
really,
She's a good character.
she really stole the
Yeah.
show there for a good
Oh,
bit.
don't say that on the subreddit.
Oh,
The cashews.
Do you think she
if
does?
there was ever a big mood in Ruby for me, it was just Maria sitting in the cockpit eating cashews nonchalantly,
On a stolen military aircraft.
chewing loudly into the loudspeaker.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Who hasn't spent an afternoon eating cashews in the cockpit of a stolen military aircraft? That's just basic
Imagine
relaxation.
not stealing military-grade aircraft and eating cashews in the cockpit. Can't relate.
know,
I
right?
rated the Air National Guard.
Yeah.
all right.
Do you think Maria knows Ironwood? Like, do you think they've met at any point?
Highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I feel like Cordo was the beginning and end of her interactions with that Legion military.
Yeah. Not everyone needs
Also,
to.
wasn't it implied that even as operating as the Grim Reaper back before she lost her eyes, she was kind of a recluse?
Yeah.
Well, no one
She
knew.
did her own thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
No one knew who she was. So.
Yeah. She was kind of.
Probably because of the Silver Eye thing, because they were being hunted, and I think she knew that.
And Crow, when he talks about her, she's painted as this kind of legendary figure almost.
Right.
Yeah. Do you think we'll like get maybe another mention of that legend like in? Do you think that'll be brought
I
up?
could see it. I'm not sure, but I could see it happening.
Well, the thing about it is, it seems like Atlas is more. It has more emphasis on like the military instead of individual huntsmen. Like that's what's been established about it.
All right, I can see that.
But like I don't know. Either way, I don't think she's going to be that important compared to
Alright.
Volume 6. She's kind of just be reduced to comic relief for the most part.
Yeah.
That's fair. So, we already kind of talked about Ozpin just still being continued to be locked away. We want to talk about Oscar though.
Mm.
I feel like Oscar is going to be at kind of like I'm not sure if he'll be at the center of the plot to get Ironwood to like believe Team Ruby and their story, but he's definitely going to be a big part of it.
Yeah, I feel like this
He's
is
going to be
I
trying
feel
to
like
get
it's like a
Ozpin
moment
out.
where he really has to step up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
I think
I
once
think-
Ironwood figures out what Oscar is, Oscar's going to end up being a MacGuffin for a couple of episodes.
huh? Maybe.
Yeah, I think the villains are probably gonna want to. They'll probably be after him
Yep.
because they would definitely want Osmond out of the picture.
That's an idea.
So Oscar really is kind of the living MacGuffin
Yeah.
of this season.
Well, the plot coupon, not a MacGuffin. But yeah,
True,
yes.
true.
That could be an interesting thing.
Well, I mean, if Oscar has like a giant target painted on his back, like for the villains, that would be a good opportunity for him to, step up and show his fighting skills in a decent fight.
All right. Yeah, that could be fun.
Not just whacking Leo's stupid shield dual disc thing like
It's
5
time
times.
to.
That weapon was the worst thing ever.
Okay, I loved how bad it was. Like I saw it, I'm like, boy, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
That must have taken like 5 seconds for them to come up with. Like, come on, they couldn't think of
I
anything
just
better.
imagine one of the
All right.
characters, the designers being.
That's. Well, it is a terrible weapon. It's a little off topic, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Back
Oscar.
on topic.
Oscar's just kind of.
Leo was the Jean of that generation.
Okay, I'll accept that comment.
Spicy.
Okay, lightning round. Let's just do all the villains at once.
All right. Okay.
Watts is going to be important.
Oh yeah,
Important question.
definitely.
We don't have any indication of where Salem's going with her flying beast, do we?
Well, one would assume to
Well,
where our heroes are because of
yeah.
Would you though? I feel
storytelling.
like she might be going to shore up whatever she's trying to do there before they get there, because she knows they're going to Atlas.
Hmm.
Go
So
where
you
your
think
enemy isn't.
you think she wants to attack like both Atlas and Shade at the same time?
I think she wants to go after whatever's in Shade while nobody's looking.
That would make sense, especially because after the fall is going on, so maybe that could tie into things there.
I suppose, but that's kind of.
It would make sense since RT is starting to branch out Ruby into like a multimedia franchise.
Yeah.
So it would make sense for there to be kind of like a tie-in plot hook thing.
Well, doesn't After the Fall take place like after Volume 6?
It's the timeline's a little.
Well,
A little-
because Sun shows up at the end and he's in Vacuum, so like
True.
and like he left for Vacuum at the beginning of Volume 6, and like all of Volume 6 is like, or at least like the Ruby portion of it is like a few days. So
Alright, that's
if it's not after Volume 6, it's like around the end point of it.
Yeah.
all right. So that could tie in. Any thoughts on what Tyrion's gonna do with his new tail?
Kill
Just
someone.
stab some people.
Fair.
Stab a bitch.
Completely fair. I know a theory that's right around is he's a faunus. Maybe he stirs up the faunus in Atlas
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
chaos.
I was thinking that
funsies.
too. Like he could tie into that plot line. Like that he could breathe some new life into it. It's possible.
I feel like
I
that would just
don't
be.
think he
I think that
would.
would just be Adam Light, though.
Well, I don't think that's quite the case because instead of actually believing it, he would be very much manipulating the masses, which
You
I
think
think would
Adam
be a.
wasn't? Okay, that's
Let's
gonna
not
get
get into
that's a
that.
can of worms. I'm
We're getting into
Mistake.
dangerous territory now,
my
friends.
mistake.
Right.
I apologize.
They are listening.
Adam, I'd say, is he's a little manipulative, a little manipulates himself into believing the same crap he spouts out. With Tyrion, he would be completely
Right.
I
manipulative
highly,
and not
highly doubt that he's going to be like a central figure in this
Right.
fight or anything. I think he's going to be Watts' muscle. Like that's as far as I think he's going to go. Like, because
Definitely that.
it's
Yeah,
definitely implied that Watts isn't a fighter. It's not confirmed, but it's like
I'm-
just the way he carries himself, the way he acts. It's kind of implied that he's not really a combat-focused character.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't fight. Honestly, I'd like to just have like a purely intelligent villain.
Yeah,
Uh,
and Tyrion is the crazy, kind of
Yeah.
not brainless, but more brawn-focused.
The other, yeah,
muscle
because Salem's other three lieutenants are all like brutal fighters, in different ways, but still they're very much like they're very combat oriented. So I'd like
Speaking of the other
to
lieutenants,
be just the smart guy, and that's it. No fighting.
yeah. Speaking of them, though, I feel like Hazel, Emerald, and Merc are going to get more of the not a redemption arc, but I feel like there's going to be more seeds planted that may hint
Yeah.
at one.
I could definitely see more seeds being planted. And
I don't think it's a C thing. I think it's going to happen. How
Right.
deep they're going to go with it is what I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think we're just gonna like cut back to see what they're doing in like the dark realm every few episodes, or like are they gonna do something this volume?
It's a good question because Salem already sent two of her people
Yeah.
to Atlas because and you'd think if she was planning to send the rest of them, she would have already done that.
I feel like the volume's going to start in the Dark Realm thing.
Possible.
I mean, they planted the seeds. They already like planted the seeds for like a plot line with those two in volume 6, and I'd be pretty disappointed if they just sat on that for a couple more volumes. But then again, like Ruby has done that before,
Yeah.
so it's possible.
I would like to see
You
just
kids are so
one scene
impatient.
that's truly dedicated to them and maybe start to move it a little bit forward.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's take bets on how soon Neil will stab Cinder in the back.
I was just about to say, let's wrap this up with those two.
I'm going to say it's going to happen at the end of the volume.
What's gonna happen at the end of the volume? Like,
Neo is going to turn on Cinder. Cinder is going to turn on Neo. Because really, people are talking about Neo turning on Cinder. I see it going the other way around first.
I have to
It's
agree.
absolutely both, but I think Neo is going to try first.
It's very much it could go either way, but personally what I would enjoy is if Cinder was to get was to quote unquote think about it or do it first because last time she had allied with someone it
didn't
went
go well.
poorly for her.
Raven.
Hmm.
Yeah, but she double crossed them first there, and
Right.
that didn't turn out
Right.
great.
In that case, it was another case of in that case too. Like they lost each other.
Well,
Or-
what do you expect? Do you expect her to think, huh, it wasn't a good idea to trust Raven?
Yeah.
Maybe I should trust Neo, the person who tried to kill me when we first met again.
No,
That
they
sounds
won't-
like a great
yeah.
plan.
No, they're gonna betray each other. But the thing is, like, like let's be fair. The only way she's not going to be the one to kill Cinder. But like the only way Neo would ever be able to do it is if she caught her completely off guard, and like that's not going to happen because Cinder clearly knows she's going to turn on her eventually.
I would like
Right.
to offer a third possibility.
Oh,
Sure.
A three-way between the two of them and Ruby
oh,
results in what we are discussing.
I'd like it.
Ooh.
Yeah,
In the confusion, all three of them try to kill each other.
That would also be a very interesting fight to see animated.
I mean, it would be funny to see the heroes take on both of them, and like during the fight, both like secretly taking pot shots at each other, trying to kill each other too.
Right.
That would be hilarious.
That'd be really cool because we've seen, the one-on-one fights, the one on X fights,
Mm.
all that kind of stuff. But to see three parties fighting at once, trying to beat the other two just as much as, one as much as the other, that would be interesting to see.
The
Well,
great thing
my
about the
idea
three of
for the
them
big
is,
climactic
sorry?
fight was it was going to be a group fight, but it was going to involve like kind of a tying off of a couple of plots at once. There was going to be the Yang versus Neo rematch because the fandom wants it bad.
Yeah.
There's going to be Ruby versus Cinder because the fandom wants it bad.
Right.
And this is something that I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I would like it to happen, but I'm cool with it not happening now. John and Cinder actually having a straight fight.
Well, how would that happen without John getting destroyed immediately this time?
That's the thing. I'm not saying
Well-
that it's going to involve just him.
actually, I
thinking
have
I
an
feel like-
idea
I feel-
about that.
Because I feel like
situation.
this time Cinder's not gonna toy with him and let him actually fight her for a minute. She would just go straight for going full power and obliterating him.
And that's why if
Mhm.
this does happen, I'm thinking it's going to be a gang fight between
Those are-
Ruby and Junior against.
There's an important aspect to the menage a trois I proposed, which is that they have a rock paper scissors going.
Oh.
Mm.
So right, Ruby
beats
beats Cinder. Cinder beats
Cinder
Neo.
could technically beat both of them, but I think Ruby would get it off first.
Right.
And Neo can just stab Ruby. We've already seen that Neo drastically outclasses Ruby.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm.
All right.
So I think the thing that will equalize Cinder to everyone else's level, an actual fight instead of a curb stomp because she's a maiden, will be that Ruby can weaken Cinder.
Yeah, with her Silver-Eyed Hoop of the Blood. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole point of Cinder recruiting, her recruiting Neo, the first part was she wants to come up with a whole loophole of not being allowed to kill Ruby under Salem's orders, which seems kind of like a weird thing because I feel like Salem was
Yeah,
using that
Salem-
sort of bullshit. But
Yeah,
I feel
And I
like
don't think
because-
Neo's
I feel like
gonna
the
kill
actual,
Ruby.
I'm pretty sure the actual reason is just because she's smart enough to know she shouldn't get too close to Ruby, considering that she literally has her kryptonite.
Got it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so I'd say that's well, we've gone over most of everything in our list.
Yeah.
Is there any miscellaneous things we want to add?
So, well, all of this is under the assumption that this is going to be like a part one of 2 volumes, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
if they tried to compress this all into one volume, I feel like this volume won't work.
Right.
No. So but you think the final clashes of this volume is going to be against Cinder and Neo?
Most likely.
No, I think it's too early for that.
Yeah, I was thinking I feel a battle against Cinder feels like it would be the climax of the volume.
I feel like if it's
Or
a
the
2-volume thing, it'll be like Watson Tyrion either at the end of the second volume or towards the at the end of the first volume or towards the middle of the second volume,
Mhm.
and then Cinder and Neo at the end of it. But that's if it's 2.
Right.
So, most important question.
Uh-huh.
And I know we've probably all talked this one to death.
Mm.
At the end of this 1, 2, maybe even 3 volumes if we're being generous, does Atlas fall from the sky?
Oh, right.
If it doesn't, I'm going to feel cheated. I mean, it's basically Sokovia, and we all know what happened to Sokovia.
I'd say
Well, it didn't crash; it blew up.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's a likely thing to happen. My personal thought though is maybe it won't. It's not gonna drop like a rock. It'll just kind of land roughly.
mm.
I know it's not. It's not.
Well, I mean, physics dictates that something that big, even if it lands kind of gently, it's still going to cause some problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Save your
I don't think it's going to gracefully glide down to the
Save
surface
your
of
math.
it. Like a butterfly on the wing.
Do you want to know the numbers on that?
Perfectly harmless.
I'm sure they
A perfectly harmless giant continent.
right.
In the sky.
Well, I mean, I think we are all in agreement of one thing, in that like, well, however this arc ends, it's not going to be like a victory for our heroes like it was in Haven.
Oh no, this is
Right.
just gonna. I don't think it'll be a defeat
Yeah.
either. I think it'll be like a. It'll just be an escalation. I feel like is the best word I can use for this.
I feel
Like,
pretty
this is-
confident. I feel pretty confident in saying that the villains are going to get their hands on it this time, because they haven't done that like so far, which is weird to think about, because they technically won at they destroyed Beacon, but they didn't get the relic, which was the whole goal. Like they haven't actually taken any of the relics yet. But I feel like it's about time for that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be fantastic if Cinder got her hands on it, and that's how she got back in with Salem?
Mhm.
I think that could happen.
Yeah.
Possible.
That's the most reasonable way of going about it. Yeah.
I'm
I
going
mean, it
to
would be a way to
say
keep Cinder around in the plot more, and unfortunately, it does seem like that's gonna continue.
I'm gonna say I just got a feeling that this is going to be a complete loss.
Complete loss. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not deaths, because I don't know who you could really kill except for, say, Ironwood and
Ren and
Crow,
Nora.
something
Don't
like
kill
that.
Iron Daddy, please.
Three for three in dead headmasters.
um,
Ren and
I
Nora.
don't think deaths or maiming, but I do think there will be a lot of civilian deaths and loss of relic and just all that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as much as it pains me to say it, they could absolutely like kill Maria unless they introduce some new plot point for her to.
And that's why I think
yeah.
Crow is going to die in this volume, because like I do agree that this is going to be a lot. Like I said, it's an escalation. Like the stakes are about to,
Right.
by just going off of narrative structure alone, like this is a point where the story is going to hit a spike
Right.
Right.
in terms of tension. So
Well-
it would make sense to kill off, not superfluous characters, but like important characters that have been around for a little while that
Right.
aren't really necessary for the plot's continuation. Which
Great,
is why
so
I literally
Ren and Nora.
dropped Crow at the first opportunity.
Well, I will say about Crow, like, if at any point during Volume 7, or potentially during Volume 8, if at any point Crow starts to, like, talk about his days in Team Stark, then, like, he's dead. I'm sorry, but he's dead if that happens.
Yeah,
Fair.
that's the big one.
Yeah, like, if the moment something like that happens, I'll be on board. The Crow is going to die train. I won't like it, but, gotta accept it.
And speaking of Stark, one more thing that I want to bring up, and I'm sorry if it's extending things too much. I feel like we're going to learn a little bit more about Summer in this volume.
I feel like we have to at this point. Like, if they made a whole model for her, like, we're gonna have something.
Right.
I feel like Crow, like as I mentioned, he seems to be having a little bit of a change character-wise. Ruby's becoming more assertive and more, not demanding, but like she's definitely coming into her own more as a person.
I think
But,
Crow.
she did. If we're going off of the Silver Eyes thing as being seen through her eyes, like that little montage,
Right.
which I assume it is, she'll probably have some questions.
I think Crow is going to explain to Ruby that the exact same things Ruby is doing are what got Summer killed.
That would definitely make sense.
That would be a very interesting talk.
Because you can, this is me conjecturing, I feel that you can see it in his face every time she does something risky or gives one of her, in my personal opinion, very, very good speeches.
Yeah, he's got the look of I've been here before.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, even Raven had like a look like that too in Volume 5.
She literally said you are
Definitely,
just
it's
like your
definitely
mother.
a summer thing.
Spooky.
Alright.
She
Okay.
literally said you are just like your mother. So,
Yeah, that is what she said. So that pretty much
no,
confirms it,
you
I guess.
you sound just like your mother. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you sound like just like your mother.
Ruby death flags confirmed.
Probably not.
Not until
So-
the very end of the series.
It's gonna be Ruby in Penny's body. Okay.
Right. Okay,
We're not letting this go. Every character is gonna be theorized to end up in Penny's body.
Oh, so Penny starts instrumentality. Got
Shopkeep in
it.
Penny's body, make it happen.
Okay, so on that very, very good prediction, how about we we end this here? So,
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Hey,
so any closing statements or? Oh,
Yeah, I think the
can't
superfluous
wait.
characters that are gonna die are Ren and Nor- Okay, bye.
okay, cool.
Uh,
I
Yeah, this was great. Like I
Yeah,
said,
it's
I'm
fun.
definitely hopeful for the direction this volume is going, and I'm excited.
Mhm.
Yeah.
November
I don't
can't
think
come fast
I don't
enough.
think we usually get in, like news like a poster and like a trailer until like very close to the premiere, right?
Yeah.
They usually hold their cards close to their chest until like a few weeks before it starts. So I wouldn't really expect any more news for a while.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we've got another. I think it was like when did it say November the what?
It was
Second.
November. Yeah, that.
Just November in general.
What we are gonna
No,
get is
it
all the
no, there was
cast
a
and
day.
crew tweeting about it forever until it starts.
Yeah, so a couple of months.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'll say I agree that Volume 7, I really do expect some great things out of it.
Mm.
And
I
yeah, that's
expect.
pretty much it.
I am choosing to expect nothing because then I'll enjoy whatever.
Well, don't get me wrong.
mean-
Understandable.
I mean,
Pretentious bastard.
I'm expecting something good because I feel like they've earned those expectations at this point.
Yeah.
So
That's the way
Hopeful
I'm looking
optimism.
at it.
you can
I
call it that.
Hope is the first step on the road to disappointment.
yeah.
Oh, okay then.
All right, Mr. Cynic.
Alrighty. Well, this has been the Cacophony, which I believe this one has been rather cacophonous.
Caw.
Alright, everyone, let's see. Good night.
Night.
Goodbye and good night.
Good morning.